A single whisper can feel like a doorway. Not because of what it says, but because of what it unlocks. This is the story of how an innocent phrase, "Take it easy, baby," slipped past the surface and sank straight into the cracks of someone's marriage. It's about the moment the line between comfort and betrayal blurred. About how kindness can become a hook. How words can plant seeds you never meant to water. It's about longing disguised as safety. And how, when the heart is starving, it will eat from the wrong hands. This is the slow drift from loyalty to something else. The guilt that wakes you at night. The justifications that help you sleep. And the quiet, devastating realization that once you've been seen by someone new, you can't unsee yourself. It started in the break room. Just another late night at the office. The hum of the vending machine was the loudest thing in the room. I was tired, worn thin, frayed around the edges. He walked in. Smiled like it was just another Tuesday. Asked if I was okay. I laughed. Said something about deadlines. And then, "Take it easy, baby." It was nothing, right? Just a string of words. But the way they landed. It was like my body heard them before my mind did. No one had called me that in years. Not in that tone. Not with that softness. I told myself it was harmless. That I was just imagining the weight in his voice. But that night, lying beside my husband, I heard it again in my head. "Take it easy, baby." Days passed. We started talking more. Always in safe spaces. Crowded hallways, group emails, casual meetings. But under it all, there was a thread pulling tight. A knowing look here. A joke meant only for me. The kind of attention you pretend not to notice, while noticing everything. I told myself I wasn't doing anything wrong. That I was just enjoying the company. That it was nice to feel alive. And isn't that human? But then came the messages. Little things. A photo of the sunset. A late night. "You still awake?" It was all still nothing. Until it wasn't. The first time his hand brushed mine, my stomach dropped. Not from shock, but from recognition. Because in that moment, I knew I had crossed over. Not physically. Not yet. But my loyalty had already shifted. I started keeping secrets. Small ones at first. Deleting a text here. Omitting a detail there. At home. My husband sensed it. He asked if something was wrong. I said no. But I could feel the distance in every word. Guilt became my shadow. Every smile from him. Every touch from my husband. Both felt wrong in different ways. And yet, I couldn't stop. Because with him, I felt seen. Not as a wife. Not as a mother. Just me. One night, after a fight at home, I found myself in his car. Crying. Talking. Laughing through tears. He reached over. Brushed the hair from my face. And whispered again. "Take it easy, baby." That was the moment. The one you can't undo. The one that changes the way you see yourself forever. Not because of what we did next. But because I realized I had already left. Long before I walked out the door. A single whisper can feel like a doorway. Not because it's loud or shocking, but because of what it touches inside you. We like to think betrayal starts with something big. A kiss. A night together. A confession. But more often, it starts with something so small you barely notice it. A tone you haven't heard in years. A word that lands softer than it should. A kindness you didn't expect. And when you're already running on empty, it doesn't take much. One gentle phrase can feel like water to a thirsty soul. You tell yourself it's harmless. You tell yourself it's nothing. But part of you knows. It's not just the words you're hearing. It's the fact that someone sees you. Not the version you've been carrying around. Not the exhausted, half-smiling version you give to the world. But the one under all that. The one who's been quietly aching to be recognized. This is how the line between comfort and danger gets blurry. Because attention doesn't arrive with warning labels. It just arrives. And you convince yourself it's safe to take it in. You don't think about what it's planting. How each small exchange waters something in you. How the seed doesn't care whether the garden is yours to tend. The truth is, when you're starving for connection, you stop asking where the food comes from. You just take it in. And before you know it, you're rearranging your days to stand where the sunlight hits you. It's not about lust at first. It's about relief. Relief that someone sees the fatigue in your eyes. Relief that someone notices the way your voice catches when you talk about your day. Relief that, for a moment, you don't have to be strong. And yet, that's where the danger begins. Because relief can turn into attachment before you realize it's happening. You start leaning a little closer. Answering a little quicker. Checking your phone at odd hours, just in case. It's subtle. Almost innocent. But under it, there's a quiet current pulling you away from where you're anchored. The hardest part is admitting how good it feels. Because admitting that feels like disloyalty in itself. You try to downplay it. Tell yourself you're imagining things. Tell yourself it's just a friendly connection. But deep down, you know you're crossing into a space where friendship doesn't live. And once you've crossed, you can't go back to not knowing what it feels like to be wanted in that way again. It's not about the other person being better. It's not about them being more attractive or more exciting. It's about how they make you feel in your own skin. Like you're lighter. Like you matter. Like you've been invited to breathe again. That's what hooks you. Not the promise of a future. But the permission to exist without the weight you've been carrying. And maybe that's why,